Okay, everybody, let's begin taking a look at the Poetry Research Project. And it all starts right here. This is the primer for MLA documentation. Now, I always like to point out to people that MLA documentation, this is required. And I know that in the different high schools in the areas, in the service area, people are familiar with the Works Cited page, but for some reason, the in-text citations are really not stressed enough and sometimes not even being addressed. So this is something that is not optional, everybody. You have to have these in-text citations. Also, there's different methods for citing. You want to be sure to use MLA. Okay, there's other ones. I'm not even going to say them or address them here because that would lead to confusion. MLA in-text citation. So in a nutshell, what the in-text citations for MLA are is that either at the beginning of the sentence or the end, you have to give credit for the borrowed information. And this is the most common way to do it, which is to name the author in a signal phrase. So you'll notice here, right, what I've done is I've started a sentence and then I've listed out the author's name, and this sentence leads us into the direct quote, right? So here I have the author's name and the quote. Here's my comment, right? We've seen that before when we've been working with poetry. And then here we have the page number. This is from a newspaper. Newspapers have sections as well as page numbers, so that's why it's A8, right? So this is a signal phrase. Now please note, when you have a direct quote, the signal phrase is required. This is not like, I want to do it. No, you have to do this. Please, please, please. Signal phrase, this is something that is good. All right, so please use those signal phrases when you have those direct quotes. Now, number 2, this would be an example of a paraphrase. If you remember from English 101, the difference between a direct quote and a paraphrase is when you read information and then you put it into your own words. But we still have to give credit. So now, right, we see Sundin 2. Why do we see the author's last name at the end? Because it's not at the beginning. Yes. Now notice, no punctuation between name and page number. It's just one space. Also notice, where does the period go? At the end. Okay? The period doesn't go here, right? You'll notice it doesn't go here. It goes where? At the end. Then, this next one, I'm going to put a star by because, believe it or not, this happens today. A lot of people, the companies they work for, the papers that they write are published anonymously. So if this happens, if you have author unknown, you either use the complete title in a signal phrase or short form of title inside of parentheses. So this is an example here, right? So the author's name is not Lawmakers. It's the short form of the title, just the first word is perfectly fine. Put that inside of quotation marks. Then we have the page number. Now, this next one, I'm going to put 1 star here, and then I'm going to put 2 stars here because this is going to be happening a lot. I'm going to change colors on my highlighter. Now, boom. Now people are going to say, well, wait a second, Mr. K. We can't use internet resources, and you're exactly right. But those articles from the college website, those databases, a lot of those don't have page numbers. Some do. So if there are page numbers, use those page numbers. If there's not, then you have to treat it as an internet source. So now you'll notice here, how is this one different, right, than this one? How are these different? Page number? No page number. Why? There's no pages in cyberspace. There's no pages in cyberspace. So therefore, we just have the author's last name. Now, here's something cool. If we were to introduce the author in the signal phrase, right, then there's no citation at the end because there's no page numbers. This is why MLA is so cool. It's so simple, so easy to use. Then there's some variations on these basic rules that we've just covered. 2 or more titles by the same author, 2 or 3 authors, 4 or more authors, or if you have a corporate author, or if you have an indirect source, This is also called a quote within a quote. That's how you'd format that. So this is the primer for MLA, the in-text citations. So again, guys, this is required. It's not optional. So this is where it all begins. Right. So now, when we take a look here at the handout for the poetry research essay, you'll see that what are we doing here, right? We're selecting one literary device to analyze one poem, right? So we want 5-paragraph analysis on one literary device that aids in developing the poem's central message or meaning. Now you might be saying to yourself, Mr. K, that sounds a lot like what we just did here with this one. And you're exactly right. Wow. So the skill that we had with here, with this one, we're just taking it and now we're doing research to plug in there. Okay? So please, 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 this is a big one right here. Boom. Research is limited to articles from the databases accessed through the library webpage and books. No Google. No Google. No. So you see the target number of resources. Okay. All the goodies here. Okay, please, 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 you got to do this. Otherwise, I'm not going to grade it. I'm just going to bounce it back to you, and then it's going to be late, and penalties are going to start adding up. Please be careful with your MLA documentation. It might take off point. So please be real careful with that. Tips. Begin today. Now, you want to begin today because even though this paper is not due this week, it's due on down the road, we will move after this week into fiction. And then you'll be writing papers and having discussion forums. And then if you procrastinate, it's going to be like that the credit card bill from Christmas shopping. It's going to come due, and then you're going to have to pay the price. Number 2, please pick a poem that you understand. Don't, pick some poem that looks like it's just going to crack your brain. Please don't do that. Then all these other things, we just want to follow the same things that we've been doing. Item number 6 here, 3 body paragraphs that prove your thesis, paraphrases, and direct quotes from the research, and you want to have brief direct quotes from the poem. Do not copy-paste the whole poem in your paper. That is not good. So now what we'll do in the next video is we'll continue moving through this document.